will get 10 years of amazing luck and fortune. Try it, it actually works. Now, what would you do if you were the wealthiest person in the world? You might buy your own island, a few dozen exotic cars, and treat yourself to only the most expensive meals and vacations. But you might also own this costly private jet. With a swimming pool on the top for swimming and sun lounging, and a generous interior for luxury trips away, it is undoubtedly the best way to spend masses of money. But is this private jet real or merely a concept? Could it become real? Comment down below with the hashtag StarTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 14. Airbus A380 owned by Prince Al Walid bin Talal, $500 million. It might not seem all that exciting to own an Airbus A380. After all, it's just a regular plane, right? It was before Prince Al Walid bin Talal got his hands on it. This Saudi prince decided to spend nearly $300 million on a plane, then another $200 million transforming it into a sky palace. But he didn't just add a few comfy chairs, he made sure it was the epitome of luxury for him and his guests. The prince wouldn't need to hire a rental car, for he requested a parking space on board for his Rolls Royce. There was also a concert hall with a grand piano, a spa treatment steam room, and 5 master bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms. If you never did enjoy the awkwardness of waiting to get out of a plane, then Prince Al Walid solved that problem too. For fast exit, he installed a private elevator from his bedroom to the tarmac. It doesn't get much more convenient than that. However, for all his customization, the prince ended up selling his private $500 million aircraft before ever using it for himself. Number 13. Airbus A340-300 owned by Alisher Usmanov, $350 to $500 million. If you've got a fear of flying in case of an emergency situation, then you're gonna need to buddy up with one of Russia's richest men, Alisher Usmanov. Alisher purchased an Airbus A340-300 for around $238 million, but he spent another $200 million customizing it to suit his needs. One of those customizations was a security room with significant reinforcements, including impenetrable walls. If the plane ends up in an emergency, this room provides the best chance of surviving. There are no guarantees, of course, but nervous flyers will surely find it a welcome feature. Such a room could also prove convenient if you don't want to share your airplane peanuts with your siblings. Lock yourself in the room and you can have them all to yourself. The fancy Airbus can also carry 375 people if you have that many friends, and flies around 9,000 miles before it needs to refuel. It's also been undergoing upgrades since Alisher bought it, meaning it's probably way more luxurious than any plane anyone has ever been on. Number 12. Boeing 747-430 owned by Sultan of Brunei, $233 million. Have you ever felt like you just got too much money? Yeah, me neither. Clearly, the Sultan of Brunei has more than he knows what to do with, and the proof is in the private jet he owns. While he could have been happy with a standard $100 million Boeing 747, he decided to throw another $130 million at it to take it to the next level, and the result did not disappoint. The Sultan's private jet has a living room, bathroom, and bedroom, all decorated with crystal and gold. Even the wash basins are solid gold, which is not something you expect while washing your hands. Traveling in this private jet is like lounging around in a giant jewelry box. But would you expect anything less from one of the wealthiest monarchs in the world? It's pretty impressive to have your own $233 million jet, but is one really enough? No, we don't think so. The Sultan also owns 2 Airbus A340s and a 767. He's basically his own airport, and we can't think of any better way to beat the traffic. Number 11. Gulfstream G650ER, $66.5 million. While Sir Philip Green might not be everyone's favorite person, especially with his alleged role in the collapse of the BHS fund, you can't help but be impressed with his choice of private plane. Sure, the man already had a speedboat, 3 yachts, and a helicopter, but what's one more form of transport in the mix? In 2016, Sir Philip added the Gulfstream G650ER to his collection, which sells for around $59 million. But as most homeowners will know, when you buy something big like a house or a plane, it's not always to your liking. Therefore, Philip's wife Tina then spent around $385,000 fitting out the interior, and no expense was spared. The plane already had widescreen TVs, handcrafted seats and divans, and porcelain dinnerware as stock standard features. But with a few expensive moderations, passengers aboard the family's plane can now control window shades, lighting, and interior temperature with tablets and smartphones. While the rest of us are lining up to take our place on a stuffy, noisy plane, this guy and his family are casually making their way around the globe in a luxury jet. Number 10. Mukesh Ambani with Boeing business jet worth $73 million. You can buy or lease some pretty swanky offices these days, but how many of them are worth $73 million and fly? Probably only those owned by Mukesh Ambani. The Indian billionaire had already gifted a $60 million Airbus to his wife, Nita, on her 44th birthday, which means he's seriously gonna need to outdo himself on her milestone 50th birthday. But in the meantime, he has also purchased a $73 million Boeing Business Jet 2, known as BBJ-2, for himself, because why not treat yourself? The plane takes on the same frame as the Boeing 737-800, but that's where the similarities end. Unlike passenger planes, this one is all about business. It has a 1,004 square foot frame that's kitted out with space for 78 passengers. It also boasts an executive lounge, private suite, bedrooms, conference rooms, and private offices. Who needs a permanent office in a country when you can have one in the sky? Instead of working from your laptop in a cramped seat with a fold-down tray in economy class, you can have an entire conference room to yourself. Number 9. Ratan Tata's Falcon 2000 private jet. Indian philanthropist and industrialist Ratan Tata didn't hold back on his last shopping trip, choosing to purchase an elite Dassault Falcon 2000 private jet worth around $35 million. It's one of the most popular business jets, and it's not hard to see why. It reaches speeds of up to 528 miles per hour and can even travel at heights of around 51,000 feet and with a range of 3,700 miles. If it's not the impressive speeds and distance that makes this jet worth a closer look, it's surely the interior. Its stretch cabin flows beautifully, and it has a full-size, spacious interior that you can basically run laps of. Being a passenger on the Falcon 2000 would be an unreal experience, but flying it is too. It has 3 flight computers, a digital flight control system, and an analog computer to control the flight spoilers. The precise flight control is out of this world. It certainly suits its price tag of tens of millions, but it's probably only spare change for Ratan Tata. He is the former chairman of Tata Sons and is still heading its charitable trusts. While he's not a billionaire, he is still worth a pretty penny. Number 8. Adar Poonawala's Gulfstream G550. For most people craving Italian, Indian, or Chinese cuisine, they phone their nearest takeaway joint, place an order, then drive down to pick it up. If you're the CEO of Serum Institute, you jump into your Gulfstream G550 private jet and head to the country of origin just because you can. Adar Poonawala of Serum Institute was the first person from India to purchase a customized ACH-145 helicopter from Airbus. That was exciting enough, but a helicopter has some limitations. It only seats 8 people and is only suitable for short distances. The Gulfstream, however, is all about luxury and distance. In a single trip, it can travel for around 13 hours, which is far more versatile if he decides on a whim that he feels like visiting another country for a bite to eat. According to an interview Adar Poonawala did, when he craves continental food, he also gathers his closest friends and flies in a Michelin star chef to cook for him. Meanwhile, most of us can't even get our significant others to cook for us. Oh, how the other half lives. Number 7. Air Force One. If you want to know what one of the most expensive private jets in the world is, then you only need to look at our government. The new Air Force One plane is expected to cost a whopping $5.2 billion.
On-time arrival for Air Force One.
In 2016, it was thought to cost around $3.2 billion, which is still not exactly cost-effective. According to Donald Trump, in 2017, that cost was negotiated down by around $1 billion. As it turns out, though, it wasn't, because the final price tag was over $5 billion. However, they did manage to bring the delivery date forward from 2024 to 2021. For a plane to be that expensive, it must be pretty special, right? After all, it's the very machine that stops the President of the United States from having to rough it in economy class with the rest of us. And you'd be right. This unique plane can refuel itself in mid-air, which means it basically has an unlimited range. Its electronics are also used to handle electromagnetic pulses, as well as being kitted out with advanced communication equipment, which means it can function as a command center if the US is ever under attack. The plane also has 4,000 square feet of space, an office, toilet, and conference room, not to mention a medical suite with a doctor on every flight. Number 6. Donald Trump's $100 million plane. If you've got $100 million to spare, then why wouldn't you buy a private plane? That was probably Donald Trump's thinking when he purchased a 1968 Boeing 727, which used to be owned by American Airlines, and which he bought from Microsoft's co-founder, Paul Allen. It wasn't long before Trump and his team gave it the ultimate Trump overhaul. The interior is every bit as luxurious as you would expect of a property tycoon and president. There is 24-karat gold everywhere you look, even the faucets, and only the latest and greatest electronic equipment. The Trump logo is also everywhere, as is the family crest, which features with unique embroidery on the pillows in Trump's bedroom. If you thought business class in a regular passenger plane was suave, then your mouth would hit the floor after traveling standard class in Trump's private $100 million plane. These days, though, Trump is more likely to be found in Air Force One, the Pentagon's elite selection of planes with the best security features money can buy, including a mobile command center in case the United States comes under attack. Number 5. Jackie Chan's $20 million private jet. In our world, you're doing pretty well as a family if you have 2 cars. Many families have a good car that you'd use for weekend trips and long hauls, and a runabout for daily use. So does Jackie Chan, but instead of cars, he has planes. One he uses for short trips within China, and his other one, a $20 million Embraer Legacy 500, he uses for transoceanic flights. See, the rich and famous aren't all that different from us after all, they just have more expensive runabouts. Jackie Chan's Embraer Legacy 500 is something special. It's a mid-sized private jet that can fly non-stop from LA to New York and has a price tag of around $20 million. It's 68 feet long, 21 feet tall, and boasts a 66.5-foot wingspan. It can also reach altitudes of 45,000 feet. It's powerful, that's for sure, but it's also exceptionally beautiful on the inside. It has one of the roomiest cabins of similar planes and has an adaptable cabin that can cater for between 8 and 12 passengers. You can also choose to sit in lounge seats with or without a divan. Feeling tired? No problem, just turn your seat into a bed. We don't blame Jackie for splurging on this jet, we would too. Number 4. Beyonce and Jay-Z's private jet. 2006 was a good year for Bombardier. They released one of their most impressive planes to replace the 50-seat CRJ-200 airliner, and boy was it impressive. The Challenger 850 took the market by storm and could cater to 27, 32, or 50 passengers, depending on your preference. Brand new, they sold for around $32 to $40 million, but if you were to buy a 2006 model today, you could pick it up for the bargain price of $8 million. Now, most people know that Jay-Z and Beyonce are by no means poor. Separately, they are worth millions, but together, they are a billionaire couple. So it's of no surprise that they own one of these special Challenger 850 planes. When Beyoncé gave birth to their first child, Blue Ivy, she decided to give Jay-Z a gift for Father's Day. And no, it wasn't a best dad ever coffee mug. It was, a casual multi-million-dollar plane. The $40 million jet has a beautiful cream leather interior, a bedroom, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchen. The purchase was just in time for their joint tour in 2014, which meant it would get heavy use while they traveled the country and the world. May as well do it in comfort, right? Number 3. Tyler Perry's $125 million Gulfstream 3. We live in a very digital age. Rarely do you find someone walking down the street without a phone in their hands or earphones in their ears. So when you go on a plane, you don't want to travel without those things. Well, Tyler Perry certainly didn't want to anyway. Tyler Perry is a producer, actor, and director. He spent $125 million on the elite Gulfstream 3, a business jet with some serious style. The plane is customized to look and feel like a flying theater, with a giant HD LCD TV screen, a handful of Blu-ray players, iPod docking stations, and even satellite TV. There's no need to rely on the same old in-flight movies anymore. Even the lighting on the Gulfstream 3 is something special, with theater lighting to create the ultimate amount of ambiance. The final icing on the cake is the electronic window shades, because, moving them up and down by hand is clearly too much hard work. Tyler Perry is one of the highest paid men in the entertainment industry, and he has the best taste and ideas about what to spend his wealth on. Number 2. John Travolta's backyard airport. How amazing would this be for a scenario? You live in Florida, but you fancy authentic Italian pizza. So instead of phoning your local pizza joint and combating the endless traffic to get to it, you decide to fly to Italy for the real deal instead. Sounds like a dream, right? That's John Travolta's reality. John has had his pilot's license for decades, as well as his jet license. He doesn't need to hire a pilot to fly his private jets, he can literally do it himself. So he bought a Boeing business jet for around $57 million, spent up to $25 million on the interior, and became yet another celebrity to own their own plane. But what's different about John is that he has more than a plane. His house is attached to a runway. He has such a passion for planes that he built his home attached to it so he could park his plane in his driveway and travel anywhere. His Boeing 737's range is around 6,000 miles, so when the fancy takes him to set off on vacation on a whim to a tropical paradise, he can be ready in minutes. Number 1. First Dreamliner private owner unveils 747-8 VIP. Joseph Lau, a real estate tycoon from Hong Kong, was the first person to buy the elite Boeing 787 VIP aircraft from Boeing. At $153 million, it is easily one of the most expensive private jets in the world. Now, there have been 7 VIP purchases of the plane, not to mention contracts for leases with other manufacturers. Once you see the new plane, it's not hard to know why it's in hot demand by businesses and wealthy business people. The rendered concepts of the 747-8 VIP are out of this world. They have vaulted ceilings, video wall displays, and even spiral staircases. Users can also enjoy over 5,000 square feet of cabin space, which is a whole lot more than a single seat you would have to share an armrest of in economy class. According to BOA's Business Jets CEO Stephen Hill, the luxury and flexibility of the plane are out of this world. It can also be modified to include personal suites, offices, and dedicated areas for recreation, as if just sitting in a comfortable plane wasn't exciting enough. The 747-8 can also carry up to 100 people and travels a little over 9,000 miles. The next time you take your place in line to board a crowded, hot, and noisy plane, spare a thought for those poor wealthy people who have to decide which of the dozens of seats to pick in their luxurious private jets. Have you been on a private plane before? What was it like? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!